27 minutes. Welcome to Ken and Scott, Postconsumers.
Hello.
I'm Ken.
I'm Scott.
And today we're going to talk about time banks.
Time banks.
What is a time bank? How would you define a time bank, Scott?
Well, Ken, I will describe a time bank as a service where we encourage people and facilitate people to exchange services without the use of money.
Without money.
No money involved.
That's right. An hour equals an hour. That's how we do it, right?
A ditch digger and a dentist's time are worth the same amount.
Yep.
And this might be a concept that's difficult for people to maybe wrap their arms around because we're so conditioned to think that people's time are worth more.
Everything is worth money. Everything has a price in our current economy, the way we all think right now. And what we're trying to do is different with this time bank stuff. It's not just us, the whole world.
These time banks are springing up all over the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just city after city after city.
Yep.
People are realizing that the economy is not working for them.
Right.
And
that's where it all starts. It's like, is the economy doing anything for anybody right now? No, unless you're super rich. That's where all the money's going. And that's the thing about money. I mean, I guess I'm gonna go off here already, but it's like,
go for it.
Any money that is spent, any money that is made now, it's all taxed. Every bit of it. So the more you make, the more you're taxed, and the more they get rich. Because that's where it all goes anymore. Our economy basically is to get as much taxes funneled into the government so that it ends up in rich people's hands. Because our federal and state governments, in my opinion, are not doing anything with it anymore. They're not doing anything with the taxes for the people. Our roads are horrible. We used to have garbage pickup for free. Remember those days?
Yes,
what happened to that?
I do remember that.
Does anybody remember that? That used to be part of your taxes, citizen. Throw away as much as you want. Which, we're not recommending necessarily, but the point is it used to be a free, quote-unquote, service. That's gone now. Now it costs, $50 for 3 months to have your garbage taken away. And I guess that's a good thing in a way, because it's like it's de-incentivizing throwing away things, but my point is it used to be free, now it's not. Our roads are in horrible shape. Good luck getting a cop to show up when you need one. In some cities, Lansing, where we hail, is not too bad, but, all these services, they're just gone. They don't exist, and they keep cutting things.
You're absolutely right, Ken. And I'll throw my 2 cents in on my perspective on this. We're in an age now where we don't have the surplus energy and resources that we used to have.
Mm-hmm.
Back when oil was cheap and it
was easily to consume.
It was.
We're going to keep throwing out the word consume.
Yes,
that's what we do.
Because we're post-consumers.
Yes, we're anti-virus people, as opposed to people that are acting like viruses on this world.
That's a good way of putting it.
Locusts. We're worse than locusts.
We behave that way
locusts have the sense
sometimes.
to die off eventually.
Well, if we're not careful and don't check our behavior and our resource uses, we will end up in the situation where we're in collapse and overshoot. Well, we are in overshoot right now.
We've reached
ecological
peak.
Overshoot.
We've most people would say we've reached peak oil. A lot of other people would say we've reached peak steel, peak aluminum, peak
phosphorus.
Phosphorus. You remember
topsoil?
Topsoil. Yeah. We've
water maybe. Even.
God, I hope not. That's the next thing. Yeah, that's another service we all have to pay for that just kind of slowly slid in generation after generation. Water used to be free.
Yeah.
You used to not have to pay for water. I mean, first it was the earth, land, real estate. That's where it started. Mm-hmm. Everything started getting commoditized,
and
it's just been a 10,000 year march that we've all just gotten used to. But it's like, now what's going to be next? Is it going to be the air? I think it is, because as CO2 levels keep rising, as air pollution keeps increasing, we keep killing the trees to clean the air. They're going to have to build air recovery systems of some variety, like they do our water. And if you live in a city, you're going to have to pay taxes for the giant air filter in the middle of town.
I'll call you on that one. I don't think it's going to get quite that bad.
I hope it doesn't. But my point is, the slow slog that humanity has gone through over the last 10,000 years of just accepting these horrible things about our environment and just assuming that science and money is going to fix it all.
Yeah, if you look at the general trend, I mean, it's not out of the question that
it's
we
not
will
out of
reach
the realm of
that point
possibility.
at
Yeah.
some point.
I mean, the technology is kind of there even right now to do it, but there's no need. But by the time the need is there, the technology will completely be there. Some sort of giant ionizing something, that just sends voltage through something and just grabs particulates, and it could be done just on a mass scale.
I don't think we have the resources for that, though. I would posit that we will end up just wallowing in our own mess,
Our own filth
before we even
choking
reach
breath.
that capability.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think we're pretty inventive when we need to be, and maybe too much so.
I'll bring it back to cheap oil again.
Okay.
Energy return on energy invested.
Mm-hmm.
In the growth phase of our economy, when we were really putting the pedal to the metal, post-World War II, and it took 1 unit of energy to get 50 units of energy out of the oil.
Okay.
That's what's called energy return on energy
Yeah.
invested. And with that kind of surplus energy, it was like we had our own slaves.
It seemed
slaves.
Yeah, it seemed infinite.
And when we ran into a problem with the environment, it was real easy to fix that problem just by throwing some of that surplus energy at it. Build those giant electrostatic collectors, put them on the factories. Yeah, the corporate captains bitched and complained, it's going to put us out of business.
Yeah.
And then they found out, we can make money off building these things too.
Right.
And there was enough surplus energy to do that.
And you just answered you just came up with the solution for me right there by saying, hey, we can make money at this. There's already money to be made in China. Have you seen? I'm sure you've seen the pictures of the smog reports and how horrible the smog is there. That's not going to let up anytime soon, as long as we keep buying cheap crap from dollar stores over here.
And
if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be the Chinese. They will hook up their dams to whatever electrostatic giant thing they need to suck the air through it and grab the particulate matter and tax their people for clean air.
That may happen in some regions. Others, it's going to be a lot harder for them to do it. They've got a real water crisis on their hands right now.
Yeah. I haven't heard about their water, other than probably pollution more than just overuse.
Well, they are facing some very, very severe shortages, and they're just beginning some mega pipeline projects.
They do a big over there. China does things huge.
Oh my God!
That's why I have no doubt.
Capitalism is very efficient in allocating resources.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. But they're still smarter about it. They still know the folly of their ways. China has a long-term plan for their country at all times. I mean, they know that they're screwing things up for themselves right now, but they've got all the money. They've got most of the gold now. You realize that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I something for everybody to reference on their own and me after the show here, but last I checked, they were minting their own gold coins.
Really?
Yeah, because they have all the gold now. How do you think, the debt that America has with them, how do you think that is being taken care of? I bet Fort Knox is empty and we don't even know. The Germans were asking about their gold in New York. I don't know if they got a reply. No, there's a lot of issues in the world right now with where the gold supply even is.
Does it even mean anything anymore, though?
It's still a commodity. It's still a valid commodity. I mean, in manufacturing, there's all kinds of things right there. Jewelry. It's
well, sure, in a material sense.
Yeah,
but
it's still.
I hear
still
people
sometimes
say we need to go back on the gold
standard.
That's
a dumb, horrible idea.
But the way it works, though, isn't it? The Federal Reserve.
It was supposed to. Yeah.
Commercial banks, when someone gets a mortgage, they just create that amount of money out of the blue.
Yeah.
And it's a
Ponzi scheme. Our whole economy is just this Ponzi pyramid scheme. It's all based on, are you going to pay us back, right? Oh yeah. It's all based on debt. It's just debt. It's just keep producing stuff, keep buying stuff, and buy it with money that isn't worth anything. But just keep buying stuff, and it just keeps this whole horrible machine going. You know, it's consuming everything.
I find it interesting that we come to the debt issue now, because time banks are...
Oh yeah, the original topic.
The original topic. And this is something that you and I have talked about at length before, is the role of debt.
Yeah.
And debt creation, and what debt means.
Right.
And that goes back to even the definitions of wealth and capital.
Right.
And when I need something done, and I create a demand for something, that gets the economy moving, and I go into debt to you to come and build a shelving unit.
Right.
And that employs you. I'm in debt to you, but not really to you personally, because I'm in debt to everybody in the time bank.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep.
And that flow that's based on trust and my immediate need is what the unit of currency is for time banks.
Right.
And that's what sets the distinction.
That is, and a time bank debt is meaningless because, just like you said, I mean, I'll say it in my own words too, I guess. Yeah, I do something for you. You know, I get an hour, I get a time dollar for that. I did you a favor, but I get this time dollar, so now everybody in the bank, quote unquote, owes me a favor because I can spend that time dollar, from any service that's in the time bank, from anybody in the time bank. So even if you who just got this service from me totally abuse the system, quote unquote abuse it, and that you're calling everybody and getting all kinds of favors, and you go into time debt, it doesn't matter because everybody that did you a favor got an accounting of it. So they still get their dollar, but it doesn't, and everybody in the bank still owes them something, and
it's just diluted.
It's diluted
amongst all
delusion
the
of debt.
people
That's right.
bank.
It's delusion of debt.
And
not deluded. I am not deluded. Not like
different type.
Right,
of
like
delusion.
paranoid delusions. Deluded, like you put a drop in the ocean.
Diluted, not deluded.
Yeah. Diluted.
An important distinction there.
So debt with time banking, it's irrelevant. It's a drop in the ocean.
And that's currently how the system can work. It regulates itself because time banks are predominantly locally based in communities right now.
Yep.
If I were to abuse the system, it's not going to negatively impact the system because of what we just said. It gets all diluted. But there's a check that's automatically made on my behavior.
The community is probably not...
The community is not going to permit that behavior.
They're just going to see you as a taker, and eventually I could help somebody else because I like them better. Or,
and they will become ostracized. Because...
And that's what's great about time banking. It's the total 180 of our current capitalistic bullshit system, because capitalism, if you're a sociopath, you will thrive.
Absolutely.
You will do fucking awesome.
Absolutely.
But if you are a sociopath in a time banking system, you will fail because society's like, fuck you, buddy. You are just taken from everybody, and you're not giving anybody, you're not doing anybody a favor.
Absolutely.
Literally, not doing anybody a favor. So fuck you, and you're gonna get kicked out. Yeah.
And this goes to what I think is kind of the root core of the difference is it's something that we know intuitively as human beings. What led to our success as a species is not competitive behavior.
Oh,
among
absolutely.
people.
Cooperation.
It's cooperation.
Yeah.
And working together for a common goal, not
Yeah.
competing.
Yeah, inter-competing species do not thrive ever. I mean, look at ants, for God's sakes. I mean, army ants. Have you ever seen army ants on like science documentaries and stuff? They're insane in Africa. They like rows of them will make like this wall along the path that the rest of them are all marching down, and they've got like bear ants that will like keep things away from like the workers doing their jobs, and it's amazing. And that is cooperation. I mean, they will make ant bridges to cross rivers and things. It's nuts.
It is. It's amazing. It is so embedded in
But they haven't
nature.
gone to the moon, so I guess, what do I know?
Maybe they will.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the whole biological basis of this. I think policy leaders and politicians and people in general sometimes lose sight of that. We'd like to think that we're these rational creatures that think things logically out and we're above those natural drives and whatnot.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, I mean, we are just nothing but apes in suits. We just dropped out of the trees just yesterday, evolutionarily speaking.
Right.
And to think that we are somehow above and beyond those impulses, we lose sight of what truly drives our economy. I mean, you can look at facts and figures and charts and graphs all day long, and make your decision analysis trees with your expectation values and probability distributions, but so much recent research has shown when it comes right down to it, at the end of the day, we do not make rational choices.
No.
We make choices on the basis of our guts and how we feel, regardless of what the numbers say.
And our belly and our sex organs, pretty much.
Yeah, well, it does come down to like 3 basic drives for human beings. Keep from being eaten, to eat, and to make more
hierarchy
of
of needs. And we mostly stay in the bottom of it. But I think it's funny. I think the people are always trying to find out what separates us from the animals, you know. And to me, the only thing that does is the fact that we are the only species that tries to find the thing that separates us from the rest of the world.
God, I've never really thought of it that way.
Dolphins aren't swimming around going, yeah, gee, those humans, I wonder if they're smart. I don't know. Are we better? We're better than them. Totally.
That's a really interesting
That's what dolphins sound like, by the way. That is totally what dolphins sound like.
I thought it was a little higher pitch than that.
So, they got it. They're up here. They're all up here.
I'll have to start.
Yeah.
We can have a
Apes
dolphin
are down
segment
here.
at some point.
Apes probably think the same thing, but they're more down here. Humans, so stupid. Punch.
That is really interesting. Look, I've
That's it.
been reading recently about how we really don't differ very much.
We don't.
From any other species on
And
so many different levels.
On any fundamental
And that
level of importance.
That is really the only thing that really separates us.
We keep trying to separate ourselves from nature in general, really.
I mean, there are lots of other species.
Been reading a lot of Alan Watts lately.
That's exactly.
But,
he's got a lot of insights in that.
This whole existence we've made for ourselves, it's just so outside of anything natural. We're not supposed to live like this.
Well, our
all these
cleverness.
toys we buy.
Our-
I mean, we keep trying to fill these voids by consuming, though. You know.
Yeah, well, those days are coming to an end real fast. I mean,
I hope so.
There's going to be a cultural transition, and it's going to take a few generations.
We got to get people back.
The biophysical reality is that we're not going to be able to be consumers the way that we think
No,
of
we're not.
ourselves anymore. It's just not going to happen.
We have to come back to community. We have to come back to cooperation, not corporation. That is the opposite of what we need to be doing. Yeah, I don't know. These people that say, "Oh, the corporation, you can't really bitch about the corporation. It's just a tool. You know, it's just a tool." It's become way more than just a tool. You know, I mean, it has become, you know, a spinning razor blade of gun-firing cannon death. I mean, I don't know, it's not a tool.
Now there's a descriptor if ever I've heard one.
It's just this whirling dervish of swords. You know, it's not a tool. It just consumes whatever it touches,
Well,
and it's bred to do that now.
but remember that our social institutions are a product of our minds.
Absolutely.
And our minds are just as natural as anything else in nature. And I think that sometimes...
So nature wants plastic?
No.
Is that where you're leading to?
Actually, yeah. Yes. It is in our nature to take the available resources that we've discovered and to act in an animalistic fashion, to utilize those to expand and improve our quality of life as rapidly as possible.
Well,
yes, that can be our. Well, we have now reached the point of diminishing returns.
Right, but the problem is this country is realizing it. China has not. India has not.
There's still these expectations.
They're still going up. They're still. We want the American dream in our country, and they'll get it maybe for a minute or two.
A few will.
Maybe a generation. Maybe.
See, they've got something over us, though. There's going to be a cultural, psychological transformation that's going to take place. And fortunately for them, they don't have pretty much their whole entire society built up with generations of this expectation of the American dream.
Right, yeah.
And things are always going to be better. I mean, their most recent little growth spurt and experience with high consumption is pretty recent.
It is,
and so they don't have all that psychological, cultural baggage.
You got to admit it's pretty fucking addicting for any society that it enters.
And that's why they have over the last 5-10 years have bought up half the world's concrete and a third of the world's
Spain used to be a
steel.
global power when all they were doing was raping the Aztecs for the gold, and then that went away.
Sure.
So it's just these societies raise up, people get used to it, people desire it, and then they fall.
And it's going to take a while, and we're going to have to transform our organizations, and to try to say, okay, yes, this particular configuration of people and organizations linked together their characteristic is growth, always grow.
Yeah. Infinite growth on a finite planet.
Exactly.
Works every time.
And we can keep doing this forever because we've been doing it for the last 150 years.
Yeah. 300, arguably.
Well, pretty much. It
Industrial
again goes back to
society.
the oil.
Sure.
That's when. Before then it was just a little thing, but then when we got that, 50 to 1 energy return on investment, then it's just like, whoa.
Yep.
And that's going to be a tough nut to crack, is that psychological dimension, because it's become part of how we think of ourselves.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like my birthright, damn it.
I know.
I know. I'm entitled to this because my parents were, and my uncles and aunts and great uncles and aunts and grandparents and
we're all part of the entitlement generation. I kind of hate that phrase though, because it's like, I don't know, it's like the current generation, the 20s and 30 somethings, whatever. It's like, they are entitled. They're entitled to a planet that they can breathe in. It
goes back to redefining again. I mean, we've got to redefine so many things. We've got to redefine wealth, debt, capital,
wealth is not money.
profit. what the economy means, and what we owe each other, future generations.
Yeah. I like the 7 generation mentality.
Yeah.
Whatever you do now, make sure it's going to be sustainable for the next 7 generations at least.
That's, God, it's so inconceivable, the Iroquois. Isn't that was
I'm
from
not
like,
sure.
That was from
I'm
the
not-
Iroquois, I think it was.
I've done a little research, and I'm trying to even discover if it was legitimate or if it wasn't just kind of made up somewhere along the line. But anyways, it's a good philosophy, regardless if I can find a solid source on it or not.
When you got, 20 years for a generation?
25. I looked that up too. So yeah,
It's like 150 years.
Yeah. Yep.
How in the... People don't even care. I've surveyed friends and family members that I consider to be really aware people and
Right.
really enlightened, and ask them, how do you feel about affecting your changes and choices in life today for people that aren't even born yet?
They don't.
And they don't.
They don't at
It's
all.
just not in our human
And
nature.
that's-
If it's not my grandchild and my
Right.
great-grandchild, I'm not going to change
And
my
that's
behavior.
and that's the nightmare of the American dream. It's like Alan Watts talks about this too a lot. It's just somewhere we got this horrible disconnect, and with our families, it's like it used to be. A son would watch his father do his job near where he lived, and then grow up to become that. And now Dad just drives off. Mom and Dad now. Alan Watts. This was the '70s when we were coming up then, but now it's Mom and Dad they're gone, and they have no clue what their parents do. All they know is when they do see their parents tell them, stay good and do good in school so you can go to college and get a crappy job where you can leave your family for 8 hours a day too.
There's so many dimensions to this
Yeah.
situation we're
And
facing.
it's because we've replaced so many things with money, and just the blind pursuit of money for no other purpose other than to just keep making money.
I'll bring it back to time banks, and that's one of the powerful things about these new economy initiatives that are taking place.
It's
is
getting
that-
people to think beyond money.
Exactly. And to
Still get
look-
stuff done and have a very vibrant and thriving life and way of life
Yep.
and standard of life.
Yep. And to look at the things that really matter, and to look at the relationships around you and say, what is it that's really important?
Yeah.
What are we here for?
Right. Well, community and I had wished I was closer with my family, but looking at the state of the world, family can be very important. Oh, well, that's our 27 minutes. Thank you for listening.
Yes.
To Ken and Scott.
Postconsumers.
Have an awesome night, day,
Bye.
or morning. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.